Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Developer Experience Office Hours here on OpenShift TV. I am Chris Short. The sound of my dog in the background as people just rang my doorbell, probably trying to sell me something. That would be my dog, Sunny. I'm the executive producer of this thing we call OpenShift TV. I'm joined by two wonderful Red Hatters, Serena Nichols and Ryan Jarvinen, to talk about some new fun things coming to OpenShift here in the near future. So this is all from the future, as Serena from the future is what we like to call Serena. So just keep that in mind that these aren't available today. And, we're pretty close to the 4.7 release. Hopefully all the features we show you today will actually end up in the release, but there is no guarantee that they will. So with that, I will pass it over to Serena to kind of guide us down our path here.
Yeah, hey everybody, Serena Nichols. I'm one of the PMs on the OpenShift DevTools side, specifically looking at the developer experience on the console and in ODO. So today, what Ryan and I were hoping to share with you guys are some of the features that are coming in 4.7 for the developer experience. I'm really excited to show you guys what we got. We've got a couple of clusters that are kind of in our development area in 4.7. So might be buggy, might be missing some things, but we thought it would be great to share with you. I'll pass over to Ryan for him to introduce himself.
Hey, good morning, y'all. Welcome to Developer Experience Office Hours 2021, first show of the year, and excited to have you back. I'm a developer advocate on the OpenShift team, and I'll be keeping an eye on chat and other questions. So give me a shout out in chat and let us know what you think.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is an office hour. So, we're talking about new features and everything. But if you have questions, like, for example, the person that DM'd me this morning was like, hey, I had a disk that filled up on one of my nodes. We cleaned it out, but it's not rejoining the cluster. And it's like, well, check your taints and make sure it's schedulable. Like, if you have questions like that, feel free to fire away. We're here to answer those as well. So, yeah.
And we'd also love to get, in the chat, any suggestions, what we're looking at too, right? So we're always looking for future use cases, future requirements. What do you like, don't like about what you're seeing? All of that would be awesome to hear or read, as we might say here. Exactly. So let's see, I'm just going to try to quickly share my screen. And let me see if I can do that.
So for what it's worth, Serena got a new laptop and
this is the first time. Yeah, we're here.
Is flying with screen sharing for the first time. So we'll see. I'm seeing one screen with us on it.
Oh, that's not the right one then, is it? See, I tried earlier, thought I did it right, and here we go. Let's try one more time.
Yeah, there we go.
You should be seeing Topology.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to start with a brand new sample application, actually. So let me create a test application. And what we're going to show here today are a couple of really exciting things, I think, to help for the developer. One of the things that we've heard in the past is that I do all this work to kind of move everything around in my topology view. And once I move it and leave the project and come back in, you change the layout. So what we've done here in 4.7 is, so let me just quickly pull in some services. So I'm doing an import from Git quickly. I'm also going to just maybe deploy an image that I have sitting around. And now for whatever reason, let's say I don't want this layout to be next to the two items next to each other. I want them to be stacked the other way. So I'm going to have the hello OpenShift underneath. Well, now let me go to another project called default, and then I will return back to test app. And lo and behold, hopefully, if I did it right, there we go. So it retains the layout from what you're setting at. So this will be not only here when I'm doing this within the same instance of OpenShift. It's also if I leave and come back in, right? So this is great. I actually got a Slack this morning when I woke up. I had a Slack saying, hey, it would be great if you guys save the layout in Topology, and the person's gonna be really happy when they see this. So I think this is one of the nice features that we have. Another feature that we have, which is pretty cool, and we had done some of this earlier, is we have these in context ads, right? So you can do a right click menu and do an add to project. What we've done here, as you can see, if you looked in 4.6, we had a much smaller menu. This list of items was significantly smaller than it is today. So now, not only when you do a right click from the canvas, but also if I came over here and did the drag, so in context add, right? And I drop this, it's now also, I think I just found a bug. This should be also showing that I can get things from the developer catalog. That one's not on here. Maybe, let's see if I do it from here. Okay, so that's maybe I found an issue there. But the good news is you can do it from here. Yeah, I know, I love it too. I should have looked at that before I showed it. So yeah, so that's another thing. So right, you can add Helm charts directly from here, etc. Another piece that I really love, this is one of my favorite features. Okay, so if I was thinking today, I want to be able to go in and I want to go to the ad page, look around here, go into my catalog, and maybe look at a different MySQL databases, right? I have to go from Topology, go to the ad page, and kind of look around here. What we've done now in Topology is we have this really cool new add to project page, which does a quick search of anything that's in our catalogs. So as soon as I start clicking this, you see this prompt come up that asks you, that says you want to add to project. I can just type in MySQL, and it shows me all of the results that are available here. So it shows me the top 5. If I want to, I can hit more there. So let's say I say dancer, whoops, I see the 2 different options. I can quickly get a quick set of information on the right-hand side for which one, to help me determine which one I want to see. The other thing, I'm just going to try to show a little bit more, is that it does show you the difference. Like if I had something that was operator backed instead, I'd also be able to see that rather than template. I'm trying to think of how I can do it. So I see builder image, right? There's a little bit of a label, so I can distinguish or differentiate between the items that I'm seeing. So it's pretty cool that I can just quickly do this. And then find whatever I want and then instantiate it directly from here. And I'm not actually going back and forth to the ad page, to the catalog. It lets me do like this quick search. I really like that piece. So currently what's being shown in here is anything that's in our developer catalog. And that's another area that we made some changes to. So I can go back over. If we go to the ad page, as you guys all know today, we've got the ability to go directly into the catalog. What we've done is we've made some usability changes to our catalogs, in that there's subcatalogs here, right? So we used to have checkboxes on these. Now what's happening when you come into the developer catalog, you're seeing everything that your cluster admin has enabled you to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they decide that they don't want to allow you to see Helm charts, you wouldn't see the Helm charts here. And obviously you're going to only see things that you have access to see from the RBAC perspective.
Right.
But what we're doing now is, like when you click on Helm charts, you're going to go directly into a catalog or subcatalog of Helm charts, and you'd be able to see additional information here. So if I had multiple chart repos, like we've talked about in the past episodes, you'd be able to see some of those filters here. But if I go back to the developer catalog, and when I go into operator backed, I can see additional things here that are just specific to operators. So now I can maybe group by operator if I want. So I can see that these 4 come from the integration camel K operator, or these 3 are aligned with the serverless operator. So it's just a little bit different of of a user experience and trying to make things more consistent as far as when you drill in, allowing things to be more specific to that subcatalog you've looked at. So that's kind of where we are at with the catalog. Another feature that we've added, which has been asked for quite a bit from customers, is the ability to easily customize this categorization component here. And so we have done that now. Chris, were you going to say something?
I was going to say that I meant to interrupt you while you were transitioning, but I didn't for some reason. So a question, when do you think we'll see the service mesh flows, aka Kiali, in the main OpenShift topology view?
So that's a great question, and it is something that's being discussed. We don't have an answer as far as what release it's going to be in. We are actually talking about two things. One is how can we bring in network observability into our topology view when service mesh is installed, and how do we integrate more tightly with Kiali? The other one is what can we show when service mesh isn't being used, because right, some of our customers aren't using that, but we should still be able to be showing the network traffic coming in and out. So in the future, but we don't have a date. It's I can say it's not 4, 7, or 8.
Cool, makes sense to me.
Yeah. But yeah, we are hearing, especially I was on a call yesterday around this, so that's definitely something that we're going to be talking about more and getting nailed down a little bit closer with the timelines. Okay, so again, like what I was just mentioning was this category component. So one of the things that's pretty interesting about this category component, which I'm not sure if people know, is in pre 4.7, so currently, the list of categories and subcategories is hard-coded. But what happens is if you're looking in a catalog and there are no catalog items that are aligned with one of those subcategories or categories, it's not shown in the component itself. So it kind of like hides itself. It only shows it if there's items that match. So what we've done now is we've added this way to edit the default categories. And what I did was I did a quick search. I think people know this. You can kind of do a search on an item. Let me just say pod here, right? And this is a way I can just add this to my navigation, right? So what I did previously to prep for this was I added consoles here already to my nav, so it would be super easy for me to get to. There are other ways to get to this as well. So when I come in here and look at my cluster console here and go to the YAML file, I can look at the view sidebar, and obviously you can find all kinds of information, right, about the schema. And we've also added this snippet that's around catalog categories. And hopefully it's only going to take me one time to do this, but when I tested it earlier. So what we can do here is utilize this snippet so that we can customize our catalog categories. What the snippet contains today is, and I can show the YAML, is it contains the default categorization that we provide out of the box. So if you come in and try it and then you mess it up, it's okay, right? You can come back and reload it yourself if you want. It also allows you to kind of see what the format is. So there's the ID is for the category, the label of the category, and then you can add your own subcategories. So currently by default, this YAML file does not have this data in it. What I did earlier was I made a test already. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to copy in the original YAML file that I had saved originally. So let me just put this in here real quick. And hope that when I save it, it's okay. Changes later. Reload. One more time. I'm sorry. Let's see if I can do this again. Save. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Maybe I'll just stick with the one we have now. Okay, so I had already pulled something out of here. So what I'm going to do is what I was planning on doing was showing you from the beginning and then pulling out MariaDB. what I'll do now is we can look at it today. Right now it's showing that MongoDB is in here. So if I go, I have another cluster, another window with the same cluster available. And let me go to the catalog. Sorry about this, guys. Sorry about this, people.
We just had a
We just
discussion
had this
about how the
conversation.
Midwest is making me say guys more.
Yeah. And there I go doing it. Okay, so this is interesting. So right now it actually is, I'm wondering if I'm going to be doing this right. Let me cancel out of here, go back into YAML. What is supposed to happen is that I should be able to very easily come in here and pull out this subcategory. And let's see if it works. Databases, Mongo, I'm going to delete and then hit save. Cluster has been updated. Click reload to see the new version. If I look in there now, databases, Mongo, I do not see. I see MySQL and Postgres. So let's cross our fingers and go to the catalog.
Reload and see what we get. Is this this is done cluster wide? Is that right?
It is. And I pulled out Mongo database and it's gone, right? Is that what I just took out?
I heard you say Mongo.
That's what I said. Okay, so let's do it again. So now it's showing MySQL and Postgres. So for the heck of it, let's pull out Postgres. And remember that I said Postgres was the one. And we'll go back over. And interesting.
You may need to do a Control R reload or something.
Right.
I wonder if it's cached.
The object has been updated.
Yeah, let's see. Let's try one more time. Okay. So that's interesting. It must take a second because the first one that I updated is Mongo's now gone. So maybe it takes like another minute for it to update.
We had a semi-related question in chat about where the state for the topology view, is that saved? Is it saved locally in a browser cache? Okay. Is it persisted in the server? Do you happen to know the answer?
So let me just very quickly say that it did update. If you look at my screen, it's now gone. So there's just a time lag. So that's great. So that was, I'm sorry, that I should have mentioned that as well. So with the topology, it is saved per user now. So I think everybody kind of knows that in the previously we had temporary storage, right? So if you switched machines, anything that was saved, it was like you'd have to start fresh. What we've also done in 4.8 is we do have permanent storage. So the topology changes are saved per user. So if I go switch to a different machine, you should be good to go. And these changes will be persisted.
Awesome.
So, okay. All right, so I think this is pretty exciting as far as I'm concerned, like the fact that the developer catalog now, these categorizations apply, or these categories apply, and it's relatively easy for a cluster admin to change if they know they just have to wait for a minute or two for that to update. The other thing, which is kind of interesting, is if I go back to my developer catalog, let's see, from catalog, and I see all of the categories here. If I go into Helm charts, what you'll notice is I don't see that component on the top left-hand side. The reason that I don't see that component is because none of the Helm charts that are in my chart repository here in this catalog map to any of those categories. If somebody actually did create and label these appropriately, then it would be showing up on the left-hand side. So, all right. Any questions around what we've gone through so far, or anything else we want to take a look at from your perspective, Ryan or Chris?
No, sorry to jump in early with that question. Thanks for handling
that's
it.
Fine.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah. Let's see.
So This question just came in and is actually from my DevOps-ish Telegram group because I was helping him this morning. I'm like, hey, you should jump into this. So my friend here had NP Sony. I don't know how to say your screen name. Sorry. One question that I have is when I had a node that went not ready, the disk was full. They cleared out the disk. Long story short, ended up rebooting it, and everything within the node appears to be working. However, it is tainted as unschedulable, no schedule, and this taint comes back even if I remove it. Any clues as to what might be going on? That is a question for you, Ryan.
Oh man. That's a tricky one. I don't know. Is it posted on Twitter? I maybe may need to follow up on it later if it's posted somewhere.
Tell you what, I will have him email us or them email us. And
yeah, there's always the OpenShift email list. I'm not super active on there, but we do have a couple email support lists that this would definitely get some answers if you try those solutions.
Yeah, and you can always reach me at cshort@redhat.com. So that way we can work on it via that method.
I had a minor feedback that I typed into chat. I really liked the new add kind of pop-up or hover input was really interesting. But I immediately, my initial thoughts was I would want to type a URL into there for some YAML that's hosted on GitHub or something. If I could type in something really easy, or that would be a big feature for me.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That sounds great. Yeah, and actually, so the other thing, again, future, as we always talk about, right now, quick starts aren't available in this thing, and that's something that we are working on, or we think will be a requirement that will be satisfied in 4.8. So I'm just thinking of other things that we're going to be updating here, but I like that idea as well. Okay, so let's see. The other thing I was going to look at is another cluster, because every cluster that I have here might have a couple of different operators installed. So I think people are aware that we do have a web terminal operator. And I can just go over to installed operators so people can kind of take a look at, this is what, web terminal is the operator that I'm talking about. I previously installed this as kubeadmin or cluster admin. And when I installed it, it puts this icon up here on the top right-hand side. So it's just to the left of the help icon is what looks like a code icon. And we're calling it the command line terminal. When you open or click on that, what we get below is a command line terminal that has some of the CLIs already preloaded here for you. And is easily accessible. So one of the changes that has been made for 4.8 is for 4.7. Originally, when this was released, kubeadmin or cluster admins weren't able to utilize this feature. Now in 4.7, cluster admins can also utilize it. So we're hoping that it will get a lot more usage going forward. So just make sure, if you have your own cluster, try this out. So it's like I mentioned, it's web terminal operator. It's super easily accessible. As soon as the cluster admin installs that operator, it's here for everybody's usage. So let us know what you think about it, whether you want to share it here, tweet out the results, anything, let us know what your feedback is. So I think this is another one, Ryan. I think you guys have said from a dev side, you think this is really exciting.
Yeah, this is great. I got distracted by chat, but is there? And I didn't see if you covered this already. Do we have kubectl and OC and other kind of essentials available in this shell, or is the shell customizable at all?
It is not yet customizable. It's something that we're talking about for a little bit further in the future. Currently, I'm going to hope that I say this right. We have OC, kubectl, ODO, I think KN and TKN.
Yeah, I would think.
Yes, we have
Yeah.
TKN, KN. Oops.
Oh boy.
Audio. Yeah, I'm just OC and keep that all. Yeah, we definitely have those ones that we just mentioned. And we are looking for, we're trying to actually, what we're doing is talking about the future looking requirement as to, should this be like an extensibility mechanism? Should we have an extensibility mechanism? So if an operator wants to get, if you have a new operator and they want to install their own CLI, how would that necessarily be done? So we're kind of doing some additional requirements gathering, I guess, around the enhancement, around being able to provide your own or customizing to have access for additional CLIs. And if that should be cluster admin focused or if that should be operator focused, we haven't quite figured that out or finalized that yet.
And by operator, you mean the human operator, right?
Actually, no, we were talking about the fact that maybe an operator, so you know how like we have a pipeline and a serverless operator, right?
Right.
Should those be actually, should an
Ah,
operator be responsible
maintain,
for
yeah.
designating and saying what version of a CLI should be installed based on the operator version that's installed?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We do everything else with operators.
Right, right. So that's one of the things we're considering. Yeah, that's one of the things we're definitely considering going forward.
Cool.
So, all right.
Looking forward to new YAML in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
Calendar-driven YAML engineers.
Oh boy, come
Yay.
on, YAML. All right, so I'm going to close this terminal. So that is one thing, just the content's not restored. So like my history wouldn't be remembered when I close this. That's one of the current, should I say, features. We don't support remembering the history from one session to the next right now. Okay, so the other thing I did want to show you is pipeline metrics. So we have this, let's see if I'm going to find one. Okay, so if I go to a pipeline and then go to the pipeline details page, there is this new tab, which is called dashboard. And this is really cool. Unfortunately, this cluster's only been alive, I think, since this morning. So we only have data from January 12th. But what you'd see, what you can start to see here is the goodness that would become if your cluster is kind of longer running, right? So we have a pipeline success ratio. So I ran this pipeline 4 times today. I can see that 100% of the times it was run, it succeeded. I can also see that on January 12th, it was run 4 times. Down here on the bottom left-hand side, what I can see is that the average pipeline run duration is 5 minutes, and it shows me each of the pipeline run names below. And then I can also get the details of how much each pipeline took, the run duration of each pipeline run by just hovering over. And then I also can see the task duration run of each individual one here, which is pretty cool. So this, I think, is, again, a really nice addition for those pipeline users to be able to gather some metrics and maybe see outliers, just get an idea of where, you know, lay of the land, where are you at, but then possibly going forward, like what are there any outliers? And if so, drilling into the details and trying to figure out why.
Cool.
So that's, and we can also change time range as well as refresh interval here. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. Is it just the dashboard part that's new, or is there anything else?
This whole tab is new.
Okay.
Yeah, this whole tab. So these 4 charts are new.
Cool.
So again, yeah. Okay, so let's see. We mentioned a little bit before, and I'm sorry, I probably should have, when you asked me this, Ryan, I should have mentioned it. The whole fact that we went from temporary storage to persistent storage, that's kind of across the board now too. So I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we have this new thing, which is a guided tour, right? So a lot of time when you come into the developer perspective for the first time, this will show up. When we first created this, what we were doing was we were saving the fact that this was run in temporary storage. So if you went to run that cluster on a different machine, you'd see it again, right?
Yeah.
Again, so all of these things that we're saving are all in permanent storage. So again, like you wouldn't see this again if you run it on a different machine. So I think, again, that's a huge win. That in our, on the PM side, what we're saying is that's kind of setting us up for user settings or user preferences in the future. Because now that we have permanent storage, we have, the UX team's been doing some great future looking design work where maybe underneath this user menu, we might see a user settings or user preference menu that comes up and then allows you to make some changes and preferences around the way that you want to see the UI or some of your preferences on default settings and things like that. So
Cool. That's
awesome.
a really great upgrade.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, again, like topology, for people who are spending time in topology, I know specifically more so probably for people who are demoing it, we hear a lot about the fact that we want that layout change, but I think that's a huge win there.
I agree. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, I'm just looking through my notes to see a couple other things. Yeah, go ahead.
This new pipeline histogram is really cool. This used to be kind of like hours of project management work to get these type of charts available. And so this is really, really cool to have that all built in and easy to see, easy to reference.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like I can just start another. Let me just start two more like super quickly, right? Let's go back and I'm gonna just do a rerun. So now if I go back to the pipeline and go to the dashboard, let's see, it's still saying 4 only because 4 have completed and the other 2 haven't. But if it's gonna say 5 minutes. So maybe in like 5 minutes, we can come back here and see how this information has updated, because these charts won't update until those pipeline runs are complete. But yeah, it's real time, which again is nice, or I shouldn't say real time. You can set your refresh state, your refresh period. So yeah, we think this was going to be a big one.
There's a question in chat from Rapscallion Reeves.
That's a great name.
Asking if pipelines are different than builds. Yeah, these are based on Tecton. And so this replaces the previous kind of build functionality that OpenShift had before with build configs and builds. But it still does take advantage of source to image at a lower level. So some similarities, but definitely more in line with upstream work around Tecton. There's also been a lot of additions around snippets and kind of being able to reuse the different Tecton components when you're setting up and customizing your pipeline and making those reusable pipeline segments kind of available to developers.
Yeah.
Which is super handy, right?
Interestingly enough, I just reran the same one and one of them failed. And so we are now seeing that in our metrics pretty quickly, right? So if I go back to pipeline runs, one of them still running. We have 4 that were successful, 1 that were failed. I go to the dashboard and it's pretty easy for me to see that 4 of the 5 succeeded, 1 of them failed. And can see also clearly that the duration of that one that failed is much shorter than the rest. So yeah, I think this is going to be super helpful going forward.
Rapscallion Reeves says, sweet. And can these be integrated with GitLab runners or other kind of Git webhook kind of deals? I'm assuming so, right? Like you could totally have someone fire based off commits and things, right? Yeah,
Tecton has a lot of support for that built in. I'm not sure how this is exposed in the UI. Serena, if you click on the build tab over there, do these builds all still show up under the old or under the traditional build area as well, or is this is just build configs in this area?
Oh, I see. I guess it depends on how what it's actually doing. That's interesting. So hold on, we are showing build configs here. I wonder, let me just go do builds. I don't know the answer to that.
It looked like the build sidebar is more focused around the traditional build config,
Build
which I think
config,
the
right.
question in the chat was, are build configs still available? And yes, they have their
Yes.
own tab here. And Tecton also has a build concept, but those components are going to be available under the pipelines. So builds that are run via Tecton will be hopefully available in search, but also visible in the pipeline sidebar.
Right. Yep. Yep. And soon we will also, I should say, in the future, we'll also have build v2, right? So is it called, I think the upstream is shipwright. And so we'll see some of that getting integrated in the UI. I'm guessing that will be 4.8, post 4.8. We'll start seeing some of that inside the UI as well. So.
Cool.
All right. Any more questions in the chat that we want to talk about before we move on?
Not seeing any we haven't answered.
Okay. All right. Let's see, what I'm going to do now, I think, is just give you a little bit of a preview of all of the cool things that we have added on the eventing side. We're going to do a dedicated session. I don't know if it will be in January or maybe early February, where we're going to have a couple of the eventing team developers come onto the OpenShift the developer experience office hour with us and talk about this a little bit more. But I did want to just show you some of the stuff that we do have available. So on this cluster, we have serverless installed. Let's just go back over to the installed operators. We have the Camel K operator installed, and we have serverless installed. And what that enables us to do is not only have eventing and serving available on the cluster, but it also has us the ability to have Camel K connectors available through the event source piece of the UI, which is pretty exciting. So again, I'm not going to demo it, but I'm just going to show you some of the entry points that we have. Going back to the add page, we have event sources here. If I click on event sources, I'm going to see a number of, I've got the 4 API server source, container source, ping source, and sync binding. I don't know if people have noticed, but the experience aligned with this is a little bit different. This is more like a catalog versus how it was before, where it was a form. So we've got event sources here. In addition to that, we also have the ability to create channels through the UI, and we also display brokers inside of the topology view. So Jay Kumar had created this really nice sample app for me, so I could just quickly kind of show what it looks like in topology. And this is pretty exciting, I think. Let's see. So what we have in topology now is we've got support for quite a few more objects. These kind of oblong, I don't know if that's the right, or elliptical type shaped items with the ones and O's in it. If it has a B, that's showing that we have a broker here. And then the IMC is an in-memory channel. So we have brokers and channels. It also, if you have a broker, you also have the ability to set some filters, right? So in this case, we have, is this an API source? Yeah, we have an API, double checking that I have this calling it the right thing. API server source and a ping source that are both connected to this broker. And then that broker is then connected to 2 different Knative services. And as we click on each of these pieces of information, right, this is our event source connector, and it's showing you that it's connected to the ping source and the broker. And then on this end, we're seeing that this is our trigger, and that this trigger does have a filter associated with it as well. So it's pretty cool that we've extended like the types of objects that we're visualizing inside of topology. And like I mentioned, we're continuing to use that side panel to show the additional details about these resources and how they're connected to things, as well as some of the additional details that they have. So I think
That's
we're
really
going to,
cool.
yeah,
Really
and I
cool
think
how
we're going to
far that's
invite
come.
we're going to take in, I think we're going to try to get Paul Morey to join us, and Jay.
I just pinged him. Sent him a message, and he's like, I am totally down for next week.
Okay, awesome. So we can have them join. And we can also show off some of the Kafka connectors. I think at that point, that would also be great. And have them do a demo and kind of talk a little bit more technical about some of those things.
Sounds good to me.
So
let me add him to the invite here.
Awesome.
Before I forget, and we'll make sure that happens.
The other thing that we did add here is we're starting our Devfile support. So I'm not sure. I know that we did have a session on Devfiles a while back, but we didn't show it through the console yet. So again, if you go back to the add page, we have this card that says from Devfile. What we're doing here is we have the developer put in a Git repo that would have the Devfile in it. I can say try sample, and we have a sample that's available. It's in the Red Hat developer Git repo. And then this form is very similar to what we have for some of our others, where you just set the application name and the name of your component. And then when I hit create, it's going to, I should have probably put that in a different project. It's going to create a new deployment based on that dev file. So this is kind of our intro to supporting dev files inside of the console. In the future, what we're going to be doing is not only allowing you to pull in your dev file, but also allow you to, because dev files can provide guidance as far as deployment and build strategy, actually. So we're going to have more descriptive information on those forms and stuff, allowing the user to understand what the guidance is from the dev file, and in some cases even be able to override some of those. So this is kind of just the first step in dev file support in the console.
Cool. Yeah, Ryan just caught OpenPixel's feedback, but OpenPixel said, can we please get a revamp of the find by name search? If I create a project called SSO and I search for it using SSO as a search term, I will find it last in the list because OpenShift API operator contains SSO as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, like I've seen that happen before with other searches that I've used. So yeah, it'd be nice if we had like quotes or something that we could put, like operators around the search term, I guess is what they're called in Google land.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I think right now we are doing some kind of fuzzy search, which is helpful when you aren't typing properly. But I guess in the case where you are explicitly typing and knowing that that match exists, I agree. Sometimes that doesn't happen. It happens with my name actually a lot of times because I type in Serena and clearly there's no Serena there. But yeah, that's a good idea. Trying to figure out how we can improve.
Can you put in the like project as a category type to narrow it down though?
Right now we can't. No, right now it's like, and I'm not sure if we have any of our UI developers on chat as well. Like Sam Paget would probably know best. I'm not sure what method we're using, but it is just like a fuzzy search match on the name from what I understand in this field.
Okay, I thought I saw you type in build earlier or something.
Oh, so that was on the search page.
Okay.
I was doing this, I think is probably what you saw me do.
Oh, so, all right. This specifically, yeah, in the project search.
Right. But it is interesting, right? Because we would probably, I'd need to do some more investigation because we also have in Topology, we also have a find by name. And I'm wondering if I type in broker, I'm getting the matches. I can see them displayed with the orange border, right? I wonder if I type this in, mistype it. See, I switched the letters and it's not showing it. So I'm assuming we're not using that fuzzy search type of mechanism here. But I think that's great feedback. We should take that back and see where are we using it, and is there any way we can improve it. I also know along the lines of the OpenShift namespaces or project names, I have seen some designs on the admin side, although I'm not sure if they're going to be implemented, when they'd be implemented, around saying that this project list should either just show me my own projects or system projects. And like, if I was able to say, don't show me my system projects, it might be super nice because I wouldn't see all of these projects names that's starting with OpenShift, right? That might be something we could ask Ali about the next time they have the admin console session.
Which I believe is next
Thursday.
Is it next Thursday? It might be
maybe?
this Thursday. Let me double check.
Yeah.
My calendar is being slow, of course. It is. I'm looking. It is this Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Excellent. Okay, and I know that we've also, the only other thing I think I would like to spend just a little bit of time on when my dog is whining, sorry about this.
No worries.
Is we do have the quick start. So we've shown you the great things that we added in 4.6 around quick starts, but in 4.7, what we're getting is that quick starts are also extensible, right? So if I go into search and say, I want to filter by console quick start and click on this, what I'll see is all of the console quick starts that have been added to this cluster. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So hypothetically, if I go into the add quick start page, I will see those same 6. I see the same exact 6 that I saw in the CRDs. What that also allows me to do, what that also allows me to do is if I want to go into console quick starts myself, and we talked about this a little bit with the customization sessions, is I can create my own console quick start. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into sample app, go into this YAML, copy and paste this myself, right? I'm just going to copy this, hit cancel, go back to console quick starts and create a brand new one. And they already had a default one. Okay, so why don't we just use this default one? So this says deploy image. So let's say deploy image for OpenShift Dev Office Hour, and I hit create. So let's go now back to the add page and look at the quick starts. And there's my deploy image for OpenShift Dev Office Hours. So that's how easy it is to do. So once you understand the schema and the syntax, it's super easy for an admin to come in here and create these themselves. So I think, again, like this is really, to me, is like an exciting way for admins to be able to start helping with onboarding their own developers or users, as well as helping with their own best practices. And it's also our mechanism and supported mechanism going forward for operators who want they will be able to supply their own quick starts, and they'll just ship the CRDs, install those CRDs when that operator gets installed, and they'll be shown appropriately. So I think, again, that's another pretty exciting thing that we've that's coming in 4.7, which is pretty soon.
Awesome. I like that. That showed up immediately too.
Yeah,
I was like expecting there to be a small delay, but it was boom, right away. That's cool.
So one thing that we have, and I can't remember for a second. One thing that we have not been able to, one thing that we don't have in 4.7 is to be able to have an admin shut those CRDs off, right? Or not display those quick starts. The only way you could do that is through RBAC. What we're talking about in the future is, should an admin maybe be able to hide them completely or something like that? If you delete that CRD, it will just since it's been installed by an operator, it will get recreated. So just want to make sure people don't try to do that, because that won't be the fix. They'd have to use RBAC at this point if they don't want those things shown. And I think we've discussed this previously as well. Like some of these quick starts are around operator installs. And so I can see right now install the OpenShift container storage operator because I'm cube admin. Let's see if I can log out. And if I log back in as developer, and go back to the quick starts, you'll see that I don't see those. Oh, interesting. So I don't see the install serverless or the install pipelines one, but maybe there's a little bug around this install OpenShift container storage operator. Maybe they don't have the right check in this one. I will take a look at that
Okay.
after this.
Nice.
But that would be something that we would, again, you just have to set the permissioning properly, and then a regular developer wouldn't see some of these things, or a non-privileged user.
So OpenPixel has a suggestion for our next contest. That's the best quick start contest.
Ooh, that would be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't hate that idea. I really like that idea, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Yeah, and that being said, we're also, talking about what are we going to do in 4.8 around quick starts, and some of the things that we are going to do in 4.8 around quick starts are making this panel resizable, because right now it's rather thin, and right now it kind of changes a little bit based on the size of your browser. Right where my breakpoints are, I'm seeing that change with. So we're going to make that a resizable for the user themselves. And of course, that would then be saved so that you wouldn't have to resize it every time you use it.
Nice.
The other thing that we're doing is we're going to be having a new kind of feature where you can show CLI command. And if you are, and this is the cluster I don't have the web terminal on, but say I had the web terminal. Let's see, do I have quick starts here? Yeah, so say I have the web terminal here open already. I'm really pushing it. If there was a CLI command here, what we're talking about is execute this immediately instead of making me say copy and paste, right? So I think, again, from a usability perspective, that will be a huge win for if there's CLI snippets inside of your quick start. So that's kind of where we're going with those.
Cool.
So you've seen some of the stuff we're getting in 4.7, but you've also heard some of the features that we're looking at in 4.8, as we've got designers and devs are already kind of starting on some of that as we speak.
Mm-hmm. That's why we say you're from the future.
Exactly.
I think, what was it, last week? We had a meeting about some of that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see.
This is great. Yeah, I've been waiting for the embedded terminal and some of these other features for a long time, and it's really cool to see how the topology view is not only back, but back with so many more features and so many more visual components for Knative and other things. So really excited to have Paul Morey back on for the first time next week to cover Knative. So that sounds like a excellent topic and an excellent guest.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so he's already on the invite and everything. We'll get him on for y'all.
Cool.
All right. Well,
So sorry, Rapscallion Reeves. It's technically possible to do what you're asking. You could add OpenShift virtualization as an external provider to the Rev Manager, but you need to use 4.4 higher of Red Hat virtualization. It's not set up by default. The Red Hat virtualization admin needs to add that OpenShift virtualization cluster. So just keep that in mind. But again, none of that is technically supported at the moment. So just be wary of that. I'm getting the back channel conversation with our virtualization expert right now. So yeah. If they're doing nested in Rev, then it will not automatically show up in Rev, for lack of a better term. So yeah, you have to add it. But yeah, great show today, everyone. Wonderful work.
Thanks to everyone in chat for keeping the questions coming and for the feedback.
Absolutely.
And look forward to seeing you next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Stick around for next week. We'll have Paul Maury on, it sounds like. So yeah, can't wait.
What's coming up next on the channel today?
There is nothing else scheduled on the channel today. The new year start is slow. So, people are getting back up to speed. Some people were off last week too. So yeah, it was interesting kind of like to see the channel kind of slowly restart last week, and it's picking up pace though. So
apologies to folks who are following us on YouTube. I accidentally activated the broadcast button last week and broadcast myself cleaning the room for 30 minutes. So sorry about that. Got a little bit too early of a start.
But you were cleaning highly effectively, right?
Yeah.
Like you're cleaning so hard, you push the broadcast button, right?
Yeah.
But please do join us tomorrow morning, first thing, 9 a.m. Eastern, for the Level Up Hour. We'll be talking about crap. I forget. So never mind. We'll be talking about fun things for sure. And then, we'll have a full slate of shows coming. Tomorrow is probably the most likely day for shows. So like tomorrow's the Level Up Hour, the OpenShift Administrator office hours. So Nish, if you're in channel still, that'd be a good time for you to show up, because you would then be able to talk directly to Andrew, as well as Red Hat Enterprise Linux Presents subscription management, and then meetings and such. Yes. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to us on Twitter, Serena Marie 125, Ryan J. I'm Chris Short. You can always email me, cshort@redhat.com. If you need some help, I can find the right person in the org and get you all connected. So yeah, without further ado, we wish you all the best and enjoy your day.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Y'all. Bye.
See ya.